Well, look who's back with us. He is from House Ways and Means. He's Congressman Jason Smith. He's the chair of that committee. Congressman, it's good to see you. You've been working on cutting spending. You've been working on cutting back government and fixing things down there. But we've got this report that still nearly half of government workers are working remotely from home, even though the pandemic is over. Martha Stewart is saying people need to get back to the office.
You know, it's unacceptable. That's why we passed a bill called the Show Up Act to actually get federal employees back to work. The first major piece of legislation that Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer passed was the American Rescue Plan, which paid $400 billion to people not to work. And that's why you've seen help wanted signs go all over the country. So we definitely have a labor shortage. But you know what? We just moved some legislation enforcing work requirements for SNAP and welfare benefits. That should hopefully be a little bit helpful. I would have liked for it to gone much farther, but it's a step in the right direction. But these federal employees, they need to show up. Just at Social Security, they're behind by more than 1 million cases. Because people's working from home. They need to get back to work. And I wish that the White House would see the light of the day there.
Well, it's interesting you say that. I mean, Martha Stewart is saying she doesn't want America to, quote, go down the drain. She's saying that we don't want to turn into France. You know, U.S. worker productivity year over year, Congressman, you've seen this, it's declined for 5 straight quarters. For the first time on record, we've got average office occupancy still at about half of pre-pandemic levels. This is what happens when you put government spending on, just basically on a trigger going forward. You just spend away and think you're going to fix the economy. It's about incentives.
I'll tell you, Martha Stewart's very good at all kinds of different recipes. She's right on track with making this one up and talking about how you help grow the economy is making sure that people are working. And a great ingredient in that is making sure that we have workers for all the businesses. That will grow the economy. I'm thankful that she's out there pushing it. I just hope people will listen to her, that are Democrats in Congress.
Yeah, and by the way, poverty drops when you put more people back to work, when you got incentives, right, for the government handouts. We've seen those studies repeatedly. This House hearing that went off the rails, we have a congresswoman, a Democrat congresswoman, she's trying to, when there was this debate, stuff like this comes up at hearings, she's trying to equate the term woke capitalism with racism. Let's watch this.
When you say I'm anti-woke, when you talk about wokeness, you're saying I'm anti-black, and I don't want black people to speak up for themselves. I don't want equality and justice for black folks. This is not wokeness, what we talked about in here. Unless you are saying I'm racist, white supremacist, and I'm bigoted, stop talking about wokeness.
Forced ESG compliance is harming American workers and business. And I'm going to say this again. Forced. Not free market, not free to choose. All of a sudden, I'm a white supremacist and I'm racist. And no, I'm just talking about the facts. But if you can't beat me on the facts, I guess call me names.
How can Congress get anything done when you have that kind of mudslinging? I mean, even, reports coming in, the Wall Street Journal reports more and more companies are dropping and ditching their dive into politics and social justice items, because it's not good for the bottom line. And they're getting rid of whole units who were working on this, saying they're not effective, they're not doing anything.
It's really disappointing that there's so many extreme members of the Democrat Party, like what you just exposed. That one happens to be from my home state, one of those that you highlighted. What's so disappointing is how extreme they are. Just 3 weeks ago, Liz, we had a resolution on the House floor honoring and recognize all the fallen police officers, including one from my congressional district, one from her home state. And that representative that you just highlighted was one of only 2 people to vote against honoring fallen police officers. And she's moving and leading the defunding the police movement. That shows how extreme they are. But unfortunately, there's a whole lot more than just her. It makes up the majority of the House Democrats.
Well, it's not mainstream America. It's not the heartland. It's not the folks out there who fight every day to put food on their tables and pay their taxes and try to do the right thing. Congressman Smith, your final word.
You're exactly right, Liz. We need to just make sure that we understand the pulse of real America, the heartland, and those needs to be the priorities. We've seen all these woke corporations that's overstepped and got involved in these culture wars. That's not what real Americans want, and that's why you're seeing a pushback.
Got it. Congressman Smith, great to see you. Come back soon.